Welcome to K-Drama School. I'm your host, Grace Jung, and class is now in session. I have shows coming up this week in Los Angeles. So on March 19th, you can catch me at the High Santa Monica Hostel at 8:30 for the Comedy and English show. A lot of tourists come to that, but it's fun and it's in Santa Monica, so come through. On March 20th, I'm going to be at the Pasadena Comedy as part of the Normal Comedy Show, which is a great variety show put together by Kelly Riley, and that is at 7 p.m. And I'm going to be doing a longer set on that day. I'm going to be doing 15 minutes. So if you'd like to come and watch me do some proper stand up comedy, that is the day to come and catch me. It is Sunday right now that when I'm recording this. I am very tired. I don't even know why. I think I have allergies. I think it's allergy season. And I used to pride myself on not getting allergies, but here I am sniffling and sneezing, nose full of snot. I hate it. I hate the way it makes me sound. I hate sneezing all the time. I don't even use tissues anymore. I just hold an old t-shirt and I just blow my snot into that. I used a pair of my leggings as a tissue and I just blew my snot into my old pair of leggings. I'm sorry, is this too disgusting? But hey, at least I'm saving money on tissues, huh? I don't even know what's going on with my immune system at the moment. I am not eating well. I am I'm not particularly stressed out, but I think in my subconscious I am because my right eye has not stopped twitching for the last like 2, 3 weeks. And again, I don't have anything specifically bothering me. Like, there isn't necessarily a deadline. I'm not, it's usually a deadline that causes these eye twitches, but, there's no deadline per se. And I don't know what it could be. I mean, I have some inkling. I think it has to do with, being unemployed still and not having a source of income. And yeah, that would generate anybody some anxiety. But I normally keep it together. So the fact that this is happening to me now is cause for concern. A little concern, not a lot. I I have been having some nightmares the last couple of weeks. They're not like so bad, they're nightmares in the sense that they're not pleasant dreams. Like there is a lot of violence going on, but um, I don't wake up like in distress and in a, like I don't wake up covered in sweat or anything dramatic like that. So that's good. I guess I'm trying to say that I'm just counting my blessings at the moment. Yesterday, I was in Malibu. I went to Malibu because I wanted to visit the Hindu temple there, and it was very beautiful. I didn't go inside because I don't know what I would do once I go inside. Like everybody was like taking off their shoes and washing their feet, and I just didn't want to do the whole shebang because, quite frankly, I was too shy. I was too shy to do it. So I just looked at it from the outside and I just, took it in. And then I went to Solstice Canyon for a nice hike. And during my hike, I listened to three comedy albums by Asian women, Asian American and Asian Canadian women. And what I noticed is that there is no real list of Asian American female comedians. I don't know why, but there just isn't one. And that bums me out. And so I'm thinking of like making a list because we're here. We out here, okay? Maybe I'll do that for May, for Asian Pacific Heritage Month. And I listened to Margaret Cho's 1996 album called Drunk with Power, which is a very good album. I listened to that. I listened to an album called Something About My Grandmother. It's by this woman named Andrea Jin. She's Canadian, and she's Chinese Canadian, and she's a good writer. I listened to Atsuko Okatsuka's albums. She has two. One of them is called They Call Me Stacy. The other one is called I can't remember. But I really loved the They Call Me Stacy album. I thought that was an excellent, excellent comedy album by an Asian American woman. So if you're an Asian American woman, I recommend that album because she talks about something that's very sensitive for immigrant anybody who's an immigrant, which is our name and how we are sort of forced to anglicize our names for the convenience of English speaking people. And it's a really tricky thing to deal with because it's your name, it's your identity, and it's given to you by your parents or your grandparents, somebody in your family. And in the context of Asian names, like in Japanese or Chinese or in Korean, all of us depend on the Sino characters. Not all of us, but most of us. We depend on the Chinese characters, which has depth of meaning. So my Korean name, which is Chung Hyunju, Chung, my surname, stands for nation. It's Nara Chung, so it stands for nation. And then Hyun stands for benevolence. 어지현. It can also mean like dizzy, like 어지러워. So it can mean like benevolence or dizzy. And then there's chu, which is 구슬주, means roundness, means beauty. It usually is reference to pearls. So my name has this depth of meaning, but nobody could pronounce Hyunju in the United States. So I was given this anglicized name, Grace, when I was age 13, 12 or 13. And then my dad was just like, yeah, your name's Grace now. I was like, why? Who says? He's like, the pastor says. Our reverend gave you that name. I'm like, literally every single Korean girl's name is fucking Grace or Esther. Why would you name me Grace? Like, that's so unoriginal. Like, he didn't even think about it. And for about like, I don't know, I would say about 5 to 6 years, I really struggled with my name, Grace. And I told everybody who meant like who were close to me in the Korean American community, I told all of them to just call me Hyunju because I couldn't stand being called Grace. Uh, I just let white people call me Grace, you know? And when the white people in my schools, like when I was in middle school and high school, when they found out that my name, my legal name was actually Hyunju, they would not stop teasing me about it. Like I went to a really racist middle school and high school in Pearl River, New York. So yeah, these fucking Irish Catholic kids, like they just did not fucking let me down. I mean, they just, yeah, would not leave me alone about it. So Atsuko Okatsuka talks about this in her album, and I really admired her method of dealing with something so painful in such a playful and light-hearted way. That's what I like about Atsuko Okatsuka's comedy is that she's not like a dark comedian. Like despite what she comes from, there's a lot of, I mean, trauma from what I could tell, like based on her stories about her family. She never leans into the dark. She always leans into the light. And that's something I genuinely appreciate about her because that's a very deliberate choice and I'm into it. I dig it. I also saw Atsuko Katsuka in a film called Little Rock, which is an indie film set in Little Rock, Arkansas, where she plays a Japanese uh, young lady who, like a teenager or something, who is visiting Arkansas to see the Japanese imprisoned camps, her grandfather's memorial, essentially, because there were a lot of Japanese prisoners who were interned in those areas in Arkansas and in Arizona and in Southern California. So that was a really interesting film, and I only put it together recently that she was the star of that film, and she was very good in it. So anyway, I'm a fan. I'm a fan. So I think I want to generate greater awareness of Asian American female stand-up comedians. For instance, like when I typed in Asian American female comedians, like fucking Aquafina came up. And like, look, I don't have any beef with Aquafina. I think she's hilarious, but she's a rapper, okay? She's a musician. She's a musician first and then an actress. She's not a comic. All right. I don't think she has any comedic training. I don't think she's been to any stand up open mics or anything like that. Maybe she has. I don't know. But, she's more of a comedic actress. That's what she is. She's not a stand up. All right. But in any case, I should talk about this fucking K drama now. The show I want to talk about now is called Dinner Mate. It's a K drama from NBC that came out in the year 2020. And it aired right smack in the middle of a pandemic, full on, like in May, so like the spring of that year, spring to early summer is when this was airing. So Song Seung-gun stars in it, and Seo Ji-hye is his opposite. This is a show that focuses on a couple of things that are very pandemic themed. The first is mental health, because Song Seung-gun plays a psychiatrist slash chef who weirdly uses food as a therapy tool, and the other is digital content made by influencers. And Seo Ji-hye plays a producer of digital content made by influencers. So very, very pandemic relevant, right? Because quite a few social media celebrities were born during the pandemic, as we recall. I was in a very strange headspace during this show's airing, but I do remember being excited about it because Seo, as everyone knows, stars as Tami in Crash Landing on You. She plays Hun Ye-jin's nemesis, competing for Hyunbin's character's love on that show. I've seen Seo in a really insane show called The Black Knight, which I'm not sure if I can even cover on this podcast because that show was so batshit. Maybe I will, just because it was like campy and funny. Maybe I will. But Seo played a villain on that show. She played this weird time travel sorceress type of character opposite Shin Se-kyung. And yeah, wow, what a show. But that's the only other show I saw her in. It's that one and Crash Landing on You. I personally am not sure if Seo has the qualities of a lead female actress. What makes a good lead actress on a Korean drama? I don't know. Let's explore this. It's hard to pinpoint. It's like trying to figure out what sets apart a power diva from a pop singer. Huh? Like Whitney Houston, power diva. Taylor Swift, pop singer. Mariah Carey, power diva. Katy Perry, pop singer. Celine Dion, power diva. Billie Eilish, pop singer. Christina Aguilera, power diva. Britney Spears, pop singer. That may be more controversial, but I stand by it. Adele, power diva. Gwen Stefani, pop singer. That again may be controversial, but I stand by it. Is it age that sets apart a power diva from a pop singer? Not necessarily, because here's Adele versus Gwen Stefani. Is it range? Is it having an alto ring in one's voice? Is it vocal power? Is it soul? I think it's a combination of all of those things that sets apart a power diva from a pop singer. And I think lead actresses need to have a weighty presence on screen. Unfairly, there is greater emphasis on a woman's looks than a man when it comes to actors, and I've seen many ratchet looking men play lead roles on Korean dramas, and I just get confused. Like, for instance, Park Shin-young, who played the lead male in Lovers in Paris, to this day, I think it's a bizarre choice, all right? He's a great actor, and he ended up pulling it off. It was a miracle, but what a risky choice to cast him as a desirable male on a Korean drama on a rom-com. That was really fucking weird. Seo is pretty and her acting ability is just okay, but she doesn't leave me wanting more of her. There isn't much of a draw when it comes to her. Song Seung-gun's choices for screen roles, they always crack me up, and this was another amusing one for me. I thought the scenes when he was being like overly gushy and sexual were hilarious. I thought it was really, really funny. He impresses me with his level of control as an actor, and he seems to really know how to take direction well. So hats off to Song Seung-gun. And this is a show that does take mental health seriously, which I appreciated. I think it's good to talk more about it, but I still think that mental health needs greater awareness around it, and it needs to be normalized. It needs to be accepted more as a common and normal thing in our societies, whether it comes to the US or to Korea, wherever. There should be zero shame associated with mental illness. I don't think there should even be fear associated with mental illness. And that's part of the problem that I had with the show, is that there was some like fear mongering around the I don't know, like the antagonist, the male antagonist's mental illness on this show, and I didn't appreciate that. Today's guest is Tatenda Mbudzi. He is an LA-based comedian, actor, writer, and director. And I see Tatenda almost every single week here in LA where we perform comedy. And it's always fun talking to Tatenda because his background spans across the globe from Africa to Europe to North America. And he is immensely talented. He is so well trained in comedy, and he's an amazing performer. Every time I see him, it's such a treat, and he's an overall great person. So let's talk to Tatenda. How are you doing?
Good. How are you?
I'm all right. Not so bad. You know,
Hmm.
I had an audition tape
Oh,
that I
how'd
had
that
to
go?
do. It's just, whatever.
Okay.
Gonna do my best, right?
Yeah.
Do you do a lot of self tapes?
I mean, sometime like I haven't had any for like a week,
Oh wow, yeah.
but
It's a
but
really long time. A week, a whole week.
yeah. Well, I mean, I don't know. I guess yeah, like
You
maybe
get them
once.
pretty
I guess it
regularly?
just it just depends. Sometimes it'll be like a lot back to back, and sometimes it'll be quiet for like 2 weeks or three
I
weeks.
see. I
Yeah,
see. Yeah.
it's in and out.
Uh, do you have representation?
I do. I have an agent. My manager just dropped me actually recently, which is interesting.
What?
But I think it was good because I was trying to find a way to get rid of them.
Okay.
So I think it was actually good
Hmm.
timing.
Hmm.
Yeah.
Was it management for acting or like anything and everything?
No, it's just for acting, just for
Okay.
like commercial and theatrical.
Yeah. I always struggle with like what the role of a manager is exactly. And
Mm.
like all my friends that I talk to in LA, they always complain about their managers, like they're always like, I'm in the process of like getting a new manager, or I have a manager but it doesn't feel like I have a manager. And I'm always like
Mm.
confused. I'm like, okay, so you have an agent who sends you out for stuff, and then, well, like, what does the manager do? Like, I'm always confused.
Yeah, I guess the manager's supposed to like guide your career, and
Huh.
the agent's more about like getting you the job.
Yeah.
I don't know. Yeah, from my understanding, but
Whatever, good riddance to them.
yeah.
Yeah. I saw that you did a like a one-man show or something, like your own kind of theater piece. Is this accurate?
Uh, yes, this was in 2019.
Wow. Yeah.
Yeah, I did. I did.
What
It
was
was
that about?
interesting. It was it was called the Multi Demon Show, and it was about like I'm trying to figure out what it was about, but it was mainly about just doing characters and like channeling characters.
Got
You
it.
know, like trying to do like basically trying to use the spiritual elements of the religion I grew up in for like comedy stuff.
Yeah.
But yeah, and so it was basically just a bunch of characters in a
Mm.
show. Yeah,
Mm.
some stand up.
What is the religion that you grew up with?
So it's Christian, but it's mixed with traditional beliefs, which involves like ancestral. I
Mm-hmm.
guess I don't know if worship is the right word, but basically like rely on the ancestors.
Mm-hmm.
And then there's like some spirit channeling,
Mm.
like with a medium
Mm-hmm.
and like a traditional healer kind of
Mm-hmm.
situation.
Mm-hmm.
That's kind of like the cornerstone of the church, and they basically help remove whatever like negative spiritual energy has been put on you by like rubbing you
Mm-hmm.
down in holy water.
Mm-hmm.
And it's like it's kind of it's kind of patriarchal, but then it was
Mm-hmm.
also started by a woman who
Mm-hmm.
goes by like he him pronouns,
Hmm.
like in the 50s, and so like all
Mm.
the women wear white and all the men wear like khaki and like
Wow.
belts and like
Fascinating. This is
yeah it was
fascinating. It's very rare that Christianity and like indigenous sort of religions sort of get melded together, because it's
Hmm.
usually like one pitted against the other, but this is like the conjoinment of these two things.
Yeah, 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 yeah. Very conjoined.
Wow, I love it. I love it. Yeah, because in Korea, like the way it was is as these like American missionaries started coming in,
Hmm.
late 19th century, early 20th century, they were sort of shaming like Korean culture and saying like, well, this kind of indigenous religion is backwards and it is anti-Christian, it's anti-God, so you should get rid of it. Also, it's like anti-modernity. They were like, this is very like backwaters, like kind of like
Hmm.
barefooted people shit, so get rid of it. And then in the like post Korean War years, like after the 1950s, as South after North and South Korea split, South Koreans were trying to industrialize very heavily. So like machinery and like factory and all that stuff. And they were like, we need to modernize and think in terms of Western standards. So they started pushing Christianity very heavily because it's like a white man's religion. And
Hmm.
all the
Hmm.
shamans were basically canceled. I mean, they were considered illegal. So they were
Oh
all like,
wow.
yeah, it was like a big witch hunt for the shamans and like um, but today there are still, I mean, the thing about that is like even though you try to get rid of these religious or cultural roots, they never really go away. They're
Hmm. Hmm.
persistent. They persist. And to this day, like there are still shamans. Like I know of like Korean American women who are shamans who got ordained and, um, like
That's
pursue a
cool.
career as shamans and stuff. And the more I like study religion, I realize that like all of them is sort of headed in the same direction. Like no matter what religion it is, like they're all for the same goal, which is to alleviate human suffering.
Hmm.
So,
Hmm.
yeah, like they all kind of seem the same to me. I don't really see a difference. So, this religion that you speak of sounds like really fascinating because it's like, oh, like there's this sort of an amalgamation of these two rather than a separation. Oh,
Yeah, although there is also a lot of like a little bit of witch hunting as well, in that like some people, there's a lot of fear and superstition and paranoia about like people sending you
mm-hmm,
evil spirits and all that. And like
mm, mm-hmm,
allegedly my grandmother was a witch, but then
mm-hmm.
because like a lot of the siblings on my dad's side died, so that they think it's like her. But
Right.
at the same time, I'm like, it's also a culture that like whenever something bad happens, they kind of point the finger at someone, and be like, oh, it's a witch that's doing this, or someone's sending
Yeah.
something evil. So I'm
Yeah.
like, I don't know where I stand on my grandmother, but like, I
Well,
miss her. Yeah, I don't know.
yeah, yeah.
Yeah.
People always need a reason, you know. Like when misfortune falls, they always need a reason.
Hmm.
They need an object to blame. They need to point at something and say that's the reason.
Yeah.
More often than not, that's not the reason. Mm. Mm. Yeah. It's but that's how it goes. Like um also I have friends who like come from like I don't know, like one's like Mexican and she like grew up with a very Mexican family and like a lot of these like bad sort of spirits or bad like juju or bad like curses and this and that. Like she grew up with around that shit and she's like I try to stay away from all of that stuff completely, even if it has to do with like healing rituals and all of that, because I saw so many people like do these um like black magic shit and
Hmm.
yeah, it's just interesting how there's that too, like there's that element as well, right? Like on the one hand, witches and shamans, they're supposed to be healers, right? But then there's always this like other back channel shit where it's like, oh, it could be for for I don't know, like an antagonistic purpose. It's very
Hmm. Hmm.
interesting. Mm.
Yeah, I basically left the church that I grew up in because I was just like, this is a lot. And
Hmm.
but at the same time, I'm like, it's something that I'm trying to figure out and learn more about because I feel like I guess it's something that I want to explore, like in my writing and stuff. So I'm like, I guess I kind of got to go back in, but I also don't want to talk to my mom about it. I don't
I
know. I'm just
know.
kind of like
I know the feeling.
trying to, yeah.
Like maybe you don't need to talk to anybody about it, because you grew up with it. You have it in you. It's your story as well. It is your story because you
Mm-hmm.
were a part of that community. And, like whatever experiences that you have, that's it. And that's what you know. So that's what you write and you can. Like, when I hear about it in your stand up, which is like rare, but it's like there, I'm like, oh, like that's like really interesting. I want to know more about that, because it's like
Mm-hmm.
different
Mm-hmm.
from what we typically hear. And, and it's interesting. You know what I mean?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. But I do understand the feeling of like there's some trauma or there's like bad vibes associated with it, like
Yeah.
the memory of it, right?
Mm-hmm.
And it's hard to look back on it and dwell on it for too long because it's just agonizing. Is that it?
I wonder if it's agonizing. I think actually, like, there's a part of me that's like very comfortable with it, but then
Hmm.
now, as an older person, I'm like, there's also parts of it that are very like disturbing. So it's like
Hmm.
a mixture of both.
Hmm.
Um,
Hmm.
yeah, yeah.
Hmm. Do you do any other form of creative writing other than screenwriting and comedy writing? Do you like write
Um,
essays or fiction?
I not necessarily. I did do this draft of a novel in 2019, and then I just did, and then I and then I did
That was a
like,
productive year.
yeah, dude, that was a productive year, I guess. Like
Like you did so much.
but then I only recently just started looking at it again, and I'm like, oh my god, like I'm trying to figure out if there's like something there, but
Huh.
but then I guess I like journal, but yeah, I don't really. I mean, I've done an essay or two, but like nothing. I don't know. I guess I'm still figuring it out. I guess I'm still figuring it out. But no, not. But formally, no, not really. I'm kind of screenplay, comedy writing,
Mm.
occasional novel
Mhm.
work.
Mhm. Mm. Occasional novel work.
Yeah, and then I mean, I
Like
did.
I'll
I.
write like a whole novel sometimes.
But I mean, it's really just the same novel I've been working on for like years. But
Ah.
and then I did do some like a little bit of like film review stuff, but
Okay.
it was like a couple of times.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That's cool. You should
What?
publish it. Publish that book.
Yeah, I gotta read through it. It's like a first draft, so I'm reading through it and I'm like, oh my god, what was I, what is this sentence? And then also like, oh, okay, this is interesting. So
Yeah.
I gotta go through it and then like figure that
Mm.
out.
Mhm. Mhm. Yeah, it's a noble feat to write a novel. It's
Yeah,
it's not easy.
you've written two. Is that
Mhm.
correct?
Mhm.
Yeah, that's amazing.
One's published, the other one is it's in a stage where you're at. Like
Okay.
I gave it to two people to read. One of them sent me feedback last Friday. I have to go back and revise it. Another one I'm still waiting on feedback from.
Mm-hmm.
And I sent some query letters to agents. So that's a whole nother process, like
Mm-hmm.
finding an agent and da da
Mm-hmm.
da. Yeah. I quite enjoyed this novel's process, the second one. It's very different from the first one,
Mm-hmm.
and my writing is very different compared to the first one. Um, I mean, there's like a 10-year gap from the first one and now, so of course it's different. But I enjoyed it, and it's also like very. emotional. Like when I was writing it was like very intensely emotional for me. And
Mm,
when I go back and revise and as I'm reading it, I still I get emotional again as I'm
that's good.
reading. Yeah.
Yeah, I think that's good. I think that's a good thing.
Yeah, like one of my readers, like she was like it was hard to read sometimes because it was too sad and I had to like put it away for a little while and then I would come back because
Mm,
it got too intense. But I was like, yeah, I mean, if I'm writing it while bawling my eyes out, like people who read it will probably, have a similar response, you know.
yeah.
And that could be a turn off for some people. Like not everybody feels like crying when they're reading something or watching something, right?
Hmm.
But you know, I just watch a lot of like melodrama on television and that's all like just weepy shit, you know. Like sometimes it's like almost to a fault. It's like, did you write this just so you could make somebody just hysterically cry? Like
Hmm.
first two episodes in, like dying
Oh, that's
crying,
good. That's good. And
Yeah,
you need to tell me what that show is because
it's
I'm trying to,
intense.
I'm
You
trying
want to
to,
cry?
yeah, I'm always trying to like watch stuff that makes me feel things.
Interesting. Why, do you have a hard time having an emotional response?
uh, this is a good question. Sometimes,
Mm,
yes, but
mhm.
then, yeah, sometimes yes, and then sometimes something random. Will just like, and then I'll be like,
Mm,
you know, all over the place.
floodgates. Yeah.
Yeah, but I mean, I guess like as an actor, it's something where I'm like, I'm trying to get more comfortable exploring those emotions and trying to undo like the programming of like, don't cry, be a
Oh
man,
yeah.
all that jazz.
Right. Right.
Yeah.
Oh yeah, that is unfortunately the thing that men live with. They do have that. Yeah, I didn't have that so much. Well, I was also like the older child and like they're just like, yeah, don't, my parents were like, you shouldn't really bury your emotions like that. But I'm a highly emotional person, you know.
Hmm.
Um, but yeah, it's for me, it's not so repressed. That's like the one thing I'm aware of. Like
Mm.
with like a lot of women, sometimes they have difficulty with anger, like expressing anger. They can't express it. They can't go there, but I have no problem with it.
Hmm. Hmm.
Like
Yes.
I,
I feel like from your stand up, I'm like, yeah, she is very comfortable with that, with that.
yeah, it's no problem. But there are a lot of women who struggle with that because of similar things. Like you're a woman and you should not be angry. You should never raise your voice. So it's the opposite for men with crying. Yeah, fascinating. So let's. You already told me this like when I first met you, but you before LA, you said you were in Vancouver, right?
Yes,
Or
I was in well, okay. So I basically had two coming to LA situations. The first time was when after I finished college, and well, okay. Actually, the first time was during college where I did
mhm
like a study abroad program in LA and
mhm
I interned.
mhm
Um, and then the second time was when I moved out to LA after graduating,
mm
and then I was out here until like so from 2010 to 2014,
mhm
and then my visa ran out. So then I went to
mm
Canada for about 9 months, and
mhm
then I was in Zimbabwe for like 3 years, and then I
mm
came back to LA again
mm
in 2018.
mm. So when did you move to Canada then?
That was 2014.
So for college.
Oh wait, no. So when I moved to Canada, it was not for it was after college.
Oh.
Canada was more my visa ran out, but I was like, I'm not ready to go back to Zimbabwe yet. So let me go to Canada and try and see if I can figure something out.
Oh, okay. So prior
Yeah.
to Canada, you were just in Zimbabwe?
Um, So I'm like, I'm making this so confusing. Yeah, but so prior to Canada, I had been in America since from like 2006 to 2014. I was pretty much in America,
Oh,
and
okay.
then um, yeah, was that to answer your question?
I'm just trying to get the timeline of
Oh yeah,
Tatenda's
the time.
life.
Oh yeah, the
Yeah.
timeline. The timeline is okay. Zimbabwe from when I was 0 to 2, then 3 to 5, England,
Mm.
sorry, outside
Mm-hmm.
London, then
Mm-hmm.
from 5 to 19, Zimbabwe, then
Mm-hmm.
19 to uh, shit, like 27,
Mm-hmm.
that was America,
Mm-hmm.
and then 27 to 28 was Canada, then 28
Mm.
to 30 was Zimbabwe, and then
Mm.
31 till now is LA.
Mm. Holy shit. Man, you moved around a lot. But
Mm-hmm, mm-hmm.
it sounds like for the majority of your life you were in the States.
Yeah, isn't
Yeah.
it? Yeah, yeah, yeah.
Yeah, you're like mostly American, culturally
Yeah, mostly.
speaking.
Mostly, yeah, yeah, yeah. 2006 to 2014. That's like, yeah.
Where in the US did you live other than LA?
Ithaca, upstate New York.
What? Bro.
Yeah,
Holy
yeah, it's
shit.
super rural, but it's also it's upstate New York, but there's a lot of people with like southern accents, which was interesting.
It's like Bakersfield, you know? Like
Mm,
yeah,
mm.
it's California, but they have accents and guns and shit, you know?
Yeah, 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 yeah.
That's
Apparently, the clan had a headquarters near Ithaca, but I can't tell. I can't tell if that was like a rumor that someone told me to scare me, or like.
I could see that. I okay, Ithaca is like a few hours north from Rockland County, but I went to high school in Rockland County. So
Okay.
like just like near like Nyack, Nanuet, about 20 minutes
Mm-hmm.
outside of the city. And it's only 20 minutes outside of the city, and yet they were very racist over there and very conservative. It's so
Mm-hmm.
interesting how like you just move a few feet outside of the urban area and this suddenly everybody's just like you know,
Yeah,
it's like everything
yeah.
changes.
That was jarring. Yeah,
Ithaca, it must have been fucking freezing too, man. Holy
yeah. It was
shit.
cold. Yeah, it was my first experience with. Well, it's not my. I experienced snow when I was in England, but then
Mm.
I guess it was. Yeah, it was cold. It was dark for most of the year.
Yeah,
Yeah.
upstate New York is super cold. Okay, then that answers my question as because I was gonna be like, oh, you study like, I mean, you pursue acting and like filmmaking and comedy. It's like, why not New York? But now I see why not.
Yeah,
Because
well, because of cold. But I did.
yeah,
I mean, I did spend. I think 9 months in New York almost. Or was it
huh?
7?
Okay,
7 months in New York where I did like the comedy scene when I came
yeah,
back to America the
yeah,
third time.
okay. Why didn't you stay?
Um, I figured that I'd be able to find work in LA because this was the first city that I worked in after college. So I figured it would be better to be in LA. And I think I was just basically running out of people to crash with. So I was just like,
Ah, yeah,
I was couch
yeah.
surfing at the time. Yeah.
I hear that. Yeah, New York is super expensive. That's like the
Hmm.
thing. Like I don't know how it's like I don't know how I'm getting by here. I just don't even think about it, but it's just
Yeah, I feel that.
right. You just manage it in Los Angeles somehow, whereas
Hmm.
New York, it's like no. Like, are you kidding me? Like, get the fuck out of here.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. It's really like without a job, like a proper job in New York. I don't know. I was basically just sleeping on people's couches and like eating their
Yeah,
food and
yeah. It's impossible. It makes it impossible
yeah.
to live. Yeah, I'm not sure if I could ever go back. For like when I first moved here, I was like, "Oh yeah, I'm gonna go back to New York. As soon as I finish my master's, I'm going back." No way. No way. No
Hmm.
way, no
Hmm.
how.
But I still miss I miss New York though. I don't know why. I miss it.
Yeah, it's hard to. I mean, it's an awesome city. It's a fun city. You know,
Hmm.
the people are fun. People are great. Food is great. Yeah,
Hmm.
city's beautiful. What are you gonna do? It's got all its charms. But I go back. I go back once a year.
Okay,
Yeah.
that's good. I realize my box fan is featuring heavily in the
Oh,
video.
hi, box fan.
Hello.
Hello. Man. So are you working on anything like in terms of I don't know, like what's the goal? What's like Tatenda's like goal? Where are you trying to get to?
Um, I I mean, yeah, I guess there's a couple of goals. I think I'm trying to get to a place where I can do stuff that I'm passionate about and like get paid well for it, or like be able to survive from it. Um, I think that's a goal. I
Yeah.
think you know, be that because I guess I'm doing a couple of different. I'm doing like the comedy, the screenwriting,
Yeah.
the acting. I guess I
Uh-huh.
haven't really directed in a while, but that's something that I'm interested in. And then
Yeah.
um, I do illustration stuff, and that's kind of like I did do some like animating work like during the pandemic,
Oh.
but I haven't gone back into that. I don't know. I guess ideally
Mm.
like writing, acting, directing
Mm-hmm.
would be the main.
That would be it.
That would be the doing
That
that,
would be the dream.
and then that would be the dream, and then I guess and then doing comedy as well is part of that.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, yeah, I guess, yeah.
Hmm. I think that's sweet. I mean, I think in LA we're all kind of like that, you know? It's like I consider myself a comedian first and foremost, but I'm also very much a writer and I'm also very passionate about filmmaking and um I'm not as confident as a screenwriter, but I do write screenplays and
Hmm. Hmm.
I am working on a pilot and I feel like LA does make us that diligent, because it's like you gotta sort of have it all ready to go because you just don't
Hmm.
know when somebody's gonna ask for what and what's gonna land, right?
Hmm.
But yeah, I mean, like in terms of that hierarchy, like, I mean, do you consider yourself an actor first or comedian first, or are they all kind of like the same for you, same plane level?
Man, this is such a hard question. Uh,
Yeah.
well, I would say it's almost like it's like a split personality almost, but they're all
Mm-hmm.
connected. But like, um, I definitely identify as a comedian,
Mm.
though I feel like a strong pull towards TV and film
Mm.
as like a writer and performer. So that
Yeah.
those kind of things are like sort of in the same sphere. Like I feel
Yeah.
like comedy is something that's like very close to my heart. It's like something that I do like if I'm feeling horrible, I can go to an open mic and then feel better, which is
Yeah. Yeah.
I guess I don't know. Depending on the type of mic, sometimes that doesn't always happen. But like, you
Yeah.
know,
Sometimes it makes it worse. Yeah.
yeah. Sometimes it makes it worse. But like, I feel like comedy is like when I was in Zimbabwe and like I don't know. I don't know if rock bottom is the right word, but I was like, "What the fuck?" I would do comedy and then feel like, "Oh, okay, I,
Oh,
like this will." Like I would get antsy if I didn't do like
I understand.
comedy like after a certain amount of time.
Mm-hmm.
So I think it's like a sanity thing.
Yes. Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
Um, and then the writing, uh, still figuring out. I like had a couple of gigs here and there, and a couple of like close calls with some fellowships. I'm in a like a fellowship right now.
Mm-hmm.
Um, so that's something where I'm like, I love it, but I'm also like, man, I want to get like, I want to write, I basically want to write like the shows that like fuck me up. I want to be able to write like that. So I'm still trying to like
Yeah.
find my way there.
Uh-huh.
And
What's one show that fucks you up?
uh, well, I guess most recently, like all of us are dead. Have you seen that show?
No.
It's a
Is it?
Korean high school zombie drama.
I think, yeah. It's on Netflix, yeah?
Yeah, 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 yeah.
Yeah. I was just like, it's
Um,
another Korean zombie thing, and I, I didn't feel drawn to it because there's so many, but
this, yeah,
that was a okay. So you were into it, okay?
I was into that. I'm into like the anime Demon Slayer. I don't know if you've.
Mm-hmm.
Are you into anime?
Okay. Anime, no. I like animation though.
Okay,
Yeah,
okay.
yeah, it's different.
Like the anime Demon Slayer is really good.
Okay.
Um, um, there's another Korean show, Our Beloved Summer.
Oh, I love that
Yeah,
show.
yeah, that's a
Uh-huh.
great fucking show.
Yeah,
Yeah,
yeah.
yeah, I just
It's a good
finished it.
show.
That was good.
If you feel like crying, then you should watch 39.
Okay,
39, yeah. That'll make you cry a lot. Yeah.
okay, okay, good. I
I
need
was
that. I
just
need that.
like I was like watching it while working out. I'm like snot and like tears. It was like so much. Yeah.
Okay.
Mm.
And then I also really enjoyed Spider-Man No Way Home.
Mhm. Mhm.
Like
Mhm.
that was like I thought just like really well directed, and I remember sitting in the theater and feeling
Mm.
like, man, I really want to make something like that, and feeling like I was like I was almost having a tantrum. Like, why can't I make something
Yeah.
like that
Yeah.
right fucking now?
Yeah. You were
But
inspired.
I was inspired. Yeah, I was inspired,
Yeah.
and I
That's the
think
feeling.
the
Mhm.
nostalgia as well of like Tobey Maguire. Because when I was a
Mm.
teenager, I lent this Spider-Man DVD that my sister had sent from Australia to this guy, and he just never gave it back. I think he sold it or something.
That
And it's
is a
like always,
really what? That's like such a far away loan. Like
yeah,
all the way in Australia? What the fuck? He's in
yeah. Well,
Australia. He could get his
well,
own fucking DVD.
no, sorry. My sister was in Australia. The
Oh,
friend was in
she was
Zimbabwe.
in Australia. Okay, I thought your sister was in Zimbabwe and she loaned it to a guy in Australia. I was
Yeah,
like, why would she do that? That's such a far
yeah. No,
away
no.
loan.
It was me that
Yeah.
lent it to someone, and then I think it was just like this thing where people would be like trying to be hustlers, and they would like sell anything, like sell DVDs or do whatever. So I think he just figured I was like some dumb kid who he could do like take borrow DVD and then sell it, and then and which he did. So I guess I kind of was that dumb kid, but
Yeah. Yeah, you were that little punk. Yeah.
I was that punk. But
Oh.
I still like hold on to that grudge. And but anyway, uh, wait, what were we talking about?
The nostalgia of Spider-Man.
Yeah, yeah, that really affected me.
Yeah.
What else is really?
Well, that's an interesting like superhero. A lot of people love Spider-Man. I personally don't get Spider-Man, but like
Hmm.
what's the appeal of Spider-Man? Like why is he your go-to hero?
Um, is he my go-to?
Yeah, who's your like superhero? The one that you're like, yeah, this is the one.
Man, that's so hard because there's so many. But
Really?
I really like the first Iron Man,
Oh.
and like I that first movie is so good. And then
Mm.
I also growing up we had like I had this Captain America VHS cartoon. So it's like I'm kind
Yeah.
of into Captain America. I don't want to lie. Like I love Winter
Wow.
Soldier. I also like Black Panther.
Oh yeah.
But if I'm like brutally honest, I think I like Captain America and Spider Man a bit more than Black Panther. Although that Black Panther movie did also I did cry quite a lot in that movie.
It's a good
Um,
movie. Yeah.
it's a good movie. Um, but I think the appeal with Spider Man for me is I watched it a lot as a kid, and then also just I'm actually wondering if they're like what is the appeal, or is it just that I watched it from a young age? I think the flight aspect. There's something about the
Mm.
fact that the way that he moves that's kind of
Mm-hmm.
like pure escapism. So that
Yeah.
flight sensation is a thing, and then I think also just like I guess he's a regular guy. But I feel like I'm sort of parroting what I read somewhere. But I guess I don't know if this is the appeal for me, but maybe this is the appeal for other people that he's just like a regular guy trying to deal with like a lot of larger than life problems.
Uh-huh.
So
Yeah.
that is kind of relatable. I don't know.
The
That's a good. I'm gonna have to
accessibility.
think about that.
Yeah. No, I mean, I think that's all valid. Like, usually when we encounter something at a certain age, usually that adolescent age, that stays with us like
Hmm.
our whole lives, that impression stays with us. And yeah, like the heroes that we encounter during that period, they're very darling to us. So I think I
Hmm.
understand.
Oh,
Yeah.
I think also his attitude, like in the few comics like Zimbabwe didn't really have comics. You get like one random comic and then like none other of that series. But
Yeah.
like from the comics and the cartoon, like his attitude, like the way, like his commentary felt very familiar. He was kind of like there's like a comedicness to it, like the way he talks to the people that he's dealing with,
Hmm.
which was kind of I think relatable to me.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Yeah. There's
yeah, I don't know.
perhaps he's maybe a little more lighthearted. Yeah. Compared to like,
Yeah,
I don't know, Batman, for instance.
yeah. Although I do love Batman as well, which is I don't know. I feel like I like all these heroes that are all white, which is kind of funny to me. And it's like because I like I'm like I love these white heroes. I guess like that's how I was socialized. But it is kind of funny to me. I'm like, man, I really care about these white heroes. I don't know who's your hero. Who's like your
I love Batman.
okay,
Yeah. I
yeah,
like that he's dark and brooding, and
mm.
I like that he's super fucking rich. And
Yeah,
I like that he's miserable despite his wealth.
mm.
And uh yeah, I like that. Yeah, I like his cool aspect. He's got some cool to him.
He's got
Where
some super cool. Yeah, yeah, yeah,
yeah,
yeah.
he's very cool, like very detached. And I like that. I like that sort of like I'm like, "Oh, you're fucked up, huh?" Like I like that.
Mm,
That's the appeal for me. He's never happy. Like
mm,
happiness is always like is just so elusive. Happiness is like oh, he can like maybe like have her or catch him and they get away always, you know?
mm.
Like there was this Warner Brothers animated series Batman in the 90s that I
Yeah,
watched when
yeah.
I
I
was a
watched.
kid.
Yeah,
Yeah,
I watched that. So good.
like every episode he like there would be every once in a while some hot chick would like show up in his life and he'd be like, "Oh, like I'm finally going to be happy." I'm like, "Yes, Batman, you deserve to be happy." And then like she either dies or like Joker does something like she's a scam or she's fucking Catwoman. It never works out. It's always just so like out of reach for him always, and it's like,
Mm,
I don't know, there's something about that particular journey that's very interesting to me. Yeah. Feels like
mm.
the artist's journey kind of. Yeah.
Yeah, yeah. Interesting.
Mhm.
Yeah.
Mhm.
I mean, I do love Batman. I do love
Yeah.
Batman.
Everybody loves Batman. Uh and it's like when I try to when sometimes people are like, "Oh, is it Batman or Superman?" I'm like, "It's Batman."
Yes,
Yeah, but
Batman.
Superman.
Superman.
Yeah.
I don't know. I used to have nightmares about Superman. I think I watched his first movie.
Oh my
The
gosh.
one of the I can't remember
Christopher
which one it
Reeves one?
was. Yeah, yeah, yeah. I used to have
Wow.
nightmares about it.
Yeah.
And Superman's just always been kind of off for me. I just don't.
It's a little
I just
annoying.
yeah, I don't know. I don't know about that guy.
There's something that's a tad annoying. It's like, all right, whatever.
Yeah.
Uh, it's like there's like a recent Superman movie, but I forget the guy's name who even gives a shit. But I know Amy Adams is in it,
Oh, Henry
and
Cavill. Yeah, 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 yeah.
yeah, okay, he's like a good-looking guy, but like his acting and everything, I'm just like, I don't. You're just so like bland. I don't know. Like I
I can see how you could see that. Yeah.
couldn't remember anything about the film or about him, but I remember this one scene. It's like him and Amy Adams are like involved, and Amy Adams is like taking a bath, and he's like,
And he gets in the bathtub.
"Shoe- shoes and all, shoes and
Yeah,
all."
dude,
It
I
was like
remember that scene. I remember that
it
scene. Yo.
was. That's the only thing I remember about that movie. I don't remember anything else about that movie. I just remember that because I was like, if my man did that, holy shit, would I flip out? Like, how can you get into the tub with your fucking shoes on? Are you crazy? I was so angry at that scene. So yeah, I guess I don't like Superman because he's fucking stupid.
I think Superman. I think he's too overpowered. He's just too powerful. But
Yeah.
I actually won't lie. I did kind of like Man of Steel, and I
Mm.
actually did quite enjoy Batman versus Superman: Dawn of Justice.
Uh-huh.
I actually enjoyed
Yeah.
the shit out of that movie. Although like a lot
Yeah.
of people hate it. I don't. It was
The one with
just
Ben Affleck?
yes, and Wonder Woman.
You know,
Can't think of.
this is a thing. So when I was at UCLA, I was taking a producer's development class, and they
Mm.
gave us an early draft of Batman versus Superman as a script to
Ooh.
analyze. Yeah, yeah, and I was like, "What? They're gonna do this? Batman and Superman? They're gonna do this? Whoa!" And yeah, I saw an earlier draft. It was initially Superman, Batman, and I think Green Lantern was in there. Is Green Lantern in
Ooh.
like anyway, it was
Yeah,
like
yeah, he's
I
DC.
can't remember. I can't remember, but it was there was a lot going on. I was like, okay, there's a thing. Uh,
Hmm.
I think Ben Affleck as Batman is just fine. Like I'm not into it per se. I think for me, my favorite Batman was
Bale,
no,
Keaton.
yes, yes, he was my
I
favorite
need
Batman.
I need to rewatch those movies. I was just because I don't remember any Keaton
Yeah,
Batman.
Tim Burton directed them.
Mm.
That's a good one. I mean, whoa, holy shit, Tim Burton, fucking Michael Keaton, fucking Danny DeVito, fucking Michelle Pfeiffer. Whoa.
Yeah. Yes. Yes.
Yeah. Yeah.
The Penguin.
Fucking uh with Jack Nicholson
Hmm.
and fucking Prince doing the music. Oh, it's it's a work of art. The
All right,
Michael
I gotta
Keaton
relook at
Batman
those.
films.
I gotta relook at those.
Work of art.
Um, I also so I met. Okay, so Ben Affleck's Batman. I thought he was solid. I thought I liked the action actually. I thought the
Uh-huh.
action, the fighting in that movie was better than the Christian Bale movies.
Hmm.
But I do think I like Bale's Batman. I think I also was a bit partial to Affleck's Batman because I guess I'm like a Ben Affleck fan because I met him once and I'm like, I don't know.
That's why you like Jennifer Garner.
Maybe. Yeah,
It's all
maybe.
coming into alignment. Okay, it makes sense. Yeah.
um I mean I like Jennifer Garner before, Ben Affleck was all up. I guess it is connected. Maybe it is connected.
Well, I mean, Jennifer Garner and Ben Affleck met on the set of Daredevil when Ben Affleck was
Mm,
Daredevil,
mm,
right?
mm, mm, mm.
Yeah,
I have also met Jennifer Garner one
that's
time.
awesome. Wow. How like what were they
She's
like?
They're just so nice. And
Yeah.
Ben was like, "Oh, this Bob is cool. I want to go there." Like, I think he said he was trying to go there or work on a project related to it or something.
Oh.
And Jennifer was just super nice. I can't remember what she said specifically, but
She just looks like a smiley lady. Like she would smile a lot. You know,
mhm,
she has a
mhm,
great
mhm, mhm,
smile. She would
mhm.
probably would offer you cookies that she just baked.
Yeah.
She, yeah, I think I followed her very, I followed her very briefly on Instagram, and I was like, man, this bitch bakes. Like she baked
Yeah,
like
she's in the kitchen a lot. She's like
a
just
lot.
so
Yeah,
like
she
so
she's a
like
homemaker.
all she's a homemaker, just very like positive,
Yeah,
which
yeah,
I find like it's almost to an absurd extent, but which is why I think it's like I just find her kind of funny in a way, but in
yeah.
like but I still
It
I
is
don't know.
funny. It's funny because like she has to be like so fucking positive and bright, and Ben Affleck was like an alcoholic. You know,
Yeah.
you know, it's like whoa, what's going on there? Yeah,
Yeah,
and
it's
then
opposites attract. Maybe I don't know.
yeah, man. That's something I don't want to do. Like, we were talking a little bit about like positive thinking and stuff yesterday.
Hmm, hmm.
And like when I encounter people who are just very, how do you say, very committed to their negative state, you know?
Mm.
Like, for instance, like I was talking to a comic, he's going through, I haven't seen him in a few months. And I went to his mic recently and he was like, oh, like I can't find employment and I don't know about rent and da da da. And I was like, oh, like what about unemployment? He's like, I don't know about that. It's not working out. And then I was like, when I feel like shit like that, I try to focus on what I have.
Hmm,
It's like
hmm.
I'm like, so for instance, you have a really hot wife. He's like, oh no, she divorced me. I was like,
Oh God.
oh, oops. Um, okay. Wow. I'm sorry. Uh, you know, and then
You.
I was like, yeah, I haven't seen you in a minute, so shit, a lot's happened to you.
That's a lot. Yeah.
I was like, well, I mean, you're wearing an awesome jacket. That's a cool jacket, And he's like, yeah, I got this from the job that fired me. And I was
Oh
like,
God. Yeah. Oh yeah. Oh, I
so it's
see. I
like it's
see.
like
He's
no
digging the
matter
hole.
no matter what I say, he's going to insist on his position, right? And then I was like kind of thinking about this phrase that like people are saying in the zeitgeist, which is toxic positivity. And I'm like trying to work a bit on it, but it's like negative people are so committed to their negativity that even when you mention something positive, they're gonna call it toxic, you
Hmm,
know?
hmm, 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 hmm.
And it's like, all
Oh
right,
yeah.
like they're even going to take something that can't be negative, which is a positive, and they're going to call it toxic. They're going to add, like, they're going to make it a disease. You know what I'm
Yeah.
saying? And I'm just like, I mean, a person like that can't be helped because they're choosing not to be helped in the moment, you know?
Mm.
And I'm like, oh, I can't let myself get dragged down by this shit. I just gotta let them be where they're at, and I keep going, in my own way.
Yeah. No, I feel that. I feel that. I mean, yeah. I mean, sometimes when you're in the hole, it's hard to get out the hole, and
Mhm.
there's many reasons for people to be in the hole. But
Mhm.
yeah, it is tricky. It's tricky.
It is so
Yeah.
hard. And I know what it's like to be in the hole. I think we all do, right? Like doing the kind of work that we do where so many things are up to somebody else's decision. It's it's hard to maintain faith and it's hard to not feel like crap, you know. But somehow like we're supposed to manage that. We're supposed to manage the feeling. We're supposed to manage the thought and continue. We persist
Hmm.
nonetheless.
Yeah.
In fact, during the times when I feel like at my absolute worst, right, is when I end up painting some of my best stuff, you know?
Oh, interesting.
Yeah. Because like the words go away. It's like if I keep talking, I'm gonna keep complaining, so I can't. So I'm gonna draw something, and then I'll draw, and then it's like usually my best work, and then I feel a little better. So it's like sometimes it's not even up to our intention. It's just like the way we are. It's like kind of trusting in the essence of who we are. Like it just knows how to manage and navigate. And it's interesting when I just allow myself to do that, you know,
Mm,
rather than dig my heels in and be like, well, let me count the ways that things are not working out for me, right? Which is
mm-hmm.
easy to do. Easy to do when it bums a person out, bums me out.
Yeah. Yeah, that's cool that you draw. I also like to draw. So when I'm like, what do? I draw. I watch anime. I try and stay grateful. And then, yeah, I wonder if it's like, I don't know if it's. I think maybe it's one of the good things of growing up in like the church kind of. I guess I call it. It's like a church cult, but I
Yeah.
think I do. I feel like I have this sense of faith
Mm-hmm.
about things, and yeah, so I have the faith, and then sometimes it's like, oh fuck, I don't know what's happening, what's going on. I was talking
Mm-hmm.
about to my therapist about it, and she was like, well, things always work out, you know. So you've been fine up till now, so you're gonna be fine. So it's like, okay, yeah.
It's true. Yeah, that's the other like aspect. It's like when you feel like shit, you count the things that you have, you count gratitude. And the other thing is look at the moments where things have worked out, you know.
Mm-hmm,
Be like,
mm-hmm, mm-hmm.
well, I have evidence of this. This has worked out for me. This has happened to me. So why wouldn't more of those things happen to me, you know?
Yeah, I need to
And yeah,
remember that. Yeah.
and it's hard to remember it when you feel like crap, but it's like, oh, when you want to, it's like, oh, you know what? I kind of don't feel like feeling like crap right now. What can I do? It's like a tool. It's like, oh, I could do this, you know?
Yeah.
I think as long as we're open to that as a thing, it's like, oh, if there's a tool that'll help me feel better, then I want to know, I want to have it. I think that openness does generate or manifest the good things. You know, it's the
Mm,
opposite from being like, well, I'm going to insist that I am in a shitty place right now.
mm,
You
mm,
know,
mm, mm.
that's very, very different. Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay. Okay. I do this with all of my podcast episodes, but I ask a series of flashcard questions based on a show, like a specific K drama, and then
Okay.
you just like improvise your answers, like what would you do if you were this person in this situation? Okay.
Okay.
So the show I'm going to talk about is called Dinner Mate, and came out like a year or two ago. Very very good looking, attractive cast members. Yeah.
Mm,
So it's called Dinner Mate. Okay.
okay.
Let's say you're an online content producer named Tohi, and you go on a trip to an island to meet your boyfriend.
Mm,
And you think he's going to propose because he's like inviting you to an island, like, you know, like there's a house, like nice dinner. You're like, your expectations like up here. It's like, oh, he's going to propose.
mm,
But instead, you find him kissing a flight attendant. What do
mm.
you do?
Yo. I would like just pull them apart and be like, what the fuck are you doing? Like, I just feel like I'd get on the, I'd like, get enough of the, um, there's, okay, the flip side, my horny mind is like, well, maybe, maybe there's some, maybe he's trying to spice up the relationship. So,
Yeah. Yeah.
so like,
You join them.
I could join them. I could join them.
Yeah. Okay.
Yeah.
Two possibilities.
Yeah.
Mm. Okay. All right. Let's say you're somebody else now, okay? Let's say
Okay.
you're a
Okay.
psychiatrist. You're a
Okay.
male psychiatrist named Hae Kyung, and you see a really attractive woman throwing chicken at a man, screaming at him, and throwing a fit in public. What do you do?
Um, I want to know whether it's grilled chicken or fried chicken. Like, what kind of chicken is this? Because throwing away food is like,
Yeah.
I have this. Oh man, this is horrible. When I was a kid, we used to like throw chicken on the floor, and this guy, I think he had some sort of mental handicap at my grandmother's estate. He would like just pick up the chicken and eat it.
Oh my god.
Um, I don't know if that's relevant in any way, but I'd be like, stop throwing food. I think I try to get her to calm down and try to understand
Oh,
like what's happening. Uh,
yeah.
yeah.
Okay. Yeah, good. Okay. All right. Let's say, wow, yeah, that your chicken story is very much still like impressed in my mind. Like, whoa.
Yeah.
Okay.
Throw it into the dirt,
Holy
into sand.
shit. And you
Is
wanted to
it's
just see if he would eat it, right? Like
and
that was
he
the fun. That was the
and he
fun.
would, yeah. I would
Yeah.
I was like 8 or 9.
Yeah.
That's
You
my
were a child.
excuse.
Yeah.
But really, we were terrible people, I think.
Yeah. You were a child. It's
I was
okay.
a child. I guess I was a kid. Let me take
And
that back. I'm trying
also,
to be more positive. I wasn't terrible.
yeah,
I was just a kid.
you were just a child. Also, he got some chicken in the end,
Mm-hmm.
you know?
Mm-hmm.
Whatevs. Okay. All right. Let's say you're the girl again. You're Tohi again, okay?
Mm-hmm. I didn't know Toy was a girl, but okay, I can be a girl.
Oh yeah,
Yeah.
yeah. Tohi's a girl. She's a chick. All right. So the online content producer. Okay. You're Tohi again. Your ex-boyfriend from many years ago. Many years ago. Not even the island ex-boyfriend. Different guy. Chehi. I mean Chaehyuk. His name's Chaehyuk. He suddenly reappears in your life. But back several years ago when he was breaking up with you, he just dumped you via text. All right? You guys were
Mm.
dating for a long time, but he just dumped you via text. Just told you that he's moving to America and just vanished for years. And suddenly he's back in town in your life and he's like, "I want you back." What do you do?
Um, I I would be like, I would be upset that he just left. I think I want to know like why. Like, is there a reason why he just like? I guess he went to America for opportunity. Like, can I hold that against him? But still, like, he could have
Mm.
told me in person. So I think I'd be like upset. I'd be upset by that.
Uh-huh.
Um, but I think I would be curious to know why, like, he wants me back. I think I'd be
Huh.
curious to know. Yeah,
Yeah.
I wouldn't completely write him off, no, because I think I've had situations. I think because of having left Zimbabwe, I've definitely like left in the middle of things, and it's just
Mm.
sometimes you just kind of have to go because the window to
Mhm.
go. It's like the
Mhm.
visa and everything is lining up, and you happen to have the money for the flight, and it's just like fuck you, I'm
Right.
out.
Right.
So I've had a couple of people who are like mad. They're like, you just left.
Yeah.
And I'm like, man, sometimes you just have to.
Gotta go.
You gotta go.
I understand.
So yeah, I'd be open. I'd be open
To an explanation.
to an explanation.
Okay.
Mm-hmm.
All right. That's good. That's very generous of you. Okay. Let's say you're the psychiatrist again, Haegyung. Okay.
Mm-hmm. Hey,
You see Tohi's ex-boyfriend Chaehyuk causing accidents on purpose to get injured so that he can get attention from his ex-girlfriend Tohi. And you see this from afar. What do you do?
um, I think I would let Tohi know
Mm,
that he's doing this because I feel like that's really unhealthy,
yeah.
like narcissistic. Maybe I don't know if that's the right term, but like it's kind of
Mm,
like the like an extreme, like when people hurt themselves to try and get attention is like an extreme, like I feel like that's destructive.
yeah.
So I would let her know, and I would try and be like, I would try and counsel him and be like,
Mm,
yo man, this isn't, you gotta, I think to love somebody you need to be able to value yourself, and I feel like he's not valuing himself, even though I'm
yeah.
still figuring out what that really means. But I'm like, I feel like I would try and get him to not do that. Maybe I don't know. Are these the right
Oh.
answers? Are these the kind of answers that you want? I don't know if I'm being dramatic enough.
No, it's great. It's great. And yeah, I think you're touching on something important here, like how to care for yourself, or how to, yeah, how to be kind to your own self, right? It's like, well, how do you do that? Like, what is self-love? What is self-care, you know? And
Mm,
lately, like, it's, I used to like wonder that in a very angry sort of way, be like, the fuck is it? Like, how are you supposed to do that, you know? But now I'm starting to understand, it's like, oh, when I write down like my intentions for the day, and those intentions are good, you know? Or if I like write something down before I go to sleep, like, oh, you know, I want to have a nice dream tonight, or I want to be able to have a peaceful rest tonight, or I want to think about the good things that are headed my way tonight. And it's like, I'm writing this down because this is an act of self-care and
mm.
self-love,
That's really cool.
right?
Yeah.
Yeah. I think if we just emphasize that that's what that is, then that is what it is, right? Then we know what our practice of self-care and self-love is. And I think you're right. Like, to tell a person who's doing that, be like, when you're injuring yourself, that's, or harming yourself intentionally, that is the opposite of self-love and self-care. You know,
Mm.
alerting them to that, I think that's good.
Yeah, I had a this guy in high school. I don't know if I should even talk about this, but I'm not
Hmm.
going to use his name. But
Yeah.
he like basically, I knew somebody who was like threatening to commit suicide because
Mm-hmm.
when someone broke up with them,
Mm-hmm.
and I was just like, man, that's like really intense. Like, I don't know.
Yeah.
Yeah, but I'm also like learning self care things. Sometimes I'm like, I feel like I'm better at it. Other times I'm like, where am I? Where am I? But I'm just
Yeah.
trying to, yeah.
I understand. You
Mm-hmm.
know, like, I think making certain choices, right? Like whether
Mm-hmm.
it's during the course of the day, or more long-term kind of things, you know? Like I stopped drinking alcohol, and like I stopped smoking pot, and I did it because I wanted to show myself that I care about myself, you know?
Mm.
Like those are little choices that we make, you know? Like today I'll
Yeah.
have a salad, you know? Because that's an act of self-care. Other days
Mm.
though, I'll eat 500 cookies, and I'm
Yeah.
like, oops.
Yeah. I think for me, like the food stuff, sometimes I'm almost like dreading. I'm like, Jesus Christ, what the fuck am I gonna have for dinner? Like, what? What am I doing? What am I doing? I have like a lot of chicken from this left over from this person's get together, and I ate that yesterday, and I'm like, okay, today I should probably I
Oh,
need to buy fruit. I need to do that. I need to like yeah yeah
yeah.
yeah do all that.
Isn't that funny? You know, being healthy is work.
Mm,
Being healthy is hard work. But if it's an act of love for the self,
mm,
are we willing to put in that work?
yeah yeah.
You know? But it's also
Mm,
kind of like sometimes our moms didn't feel like fucking cooking. You know what I'm saying? And it's like,
yeah
okay, that's okay, mother. It's like we gotta give that appreciation to our internal mother. Be like, all right, tonight mama doesn't feel like cooking.
yeah. I think well we had a maid growing up actually, and my mom would rarely cook. Like maybe like I could count on my hand the number of times she cooked, and it was amazing.
Yeah,
But most times it was like
yeah.
the maid.
Well,
Just,
then transfer it to the maid. Be like, all right, some days our maid didn't feel like fucking cooking. You know? I mean, but she had to because it was her
mm-hmm,
job. Like she
mm-hmm.
didn't have a choice. But there were some days when it's just like she didn't fucking feel like it, and that's cool. That's all right. Loved her nonetheless.
Mm-hmm.
Mm. Okay. All right. Let's say you're Tohi again.
Okay.
You and this psychiatrist guy are now dating. Okay.
Mm-hmm.
And you and your psychiatrist boyfriend are alone together, and he leans in to make a move. And as he's approaching your face, your doorbell rings. What do you do?
I make out with him.
Oh, okay.
I make out with
You're
him.
like,
I let the doorbell ring for a bit.
yeah, you're like, I
Yeah, yeah.
that can wait.
That can wait.
Yeah, yeah, yeah,
And
yeah.
then once I'm sated, when I've had enough of that viscous mouth, then I'm like, okay, I should probably check the door.
Yeah, could be Postmates or something. Yeah. Okay, very good. All right, final question. You're Tohi again. You're the chick, and you find out that your ex-boyfriend Chaehyuk, the reason why he disappeared for years without saying anything to you is because he was having an emotional and mental breakdown because he was diagnosed with a severe mental illness, and he didn't have the courage to say any of this to you. He just left to get treatment in the States. And now he's back and he just wants you back, but you're a totally different person. And you're with this other dude. But now you have this explanation, and Cheok is standing in front of you, basically stalking you and saying he wants you back. What do you do?
Fuck, it's so hard. Who's hotter, Chaehook or the psychiatrist?
The psychiatrist is way hotter. Way, like, hands down. Oof. Holy shit.
Mm. Um, I think I have a soft spot for people dealing with mental illness. So I think I would be like, can we like spend time together and see if there's like still
Oh.
like a spark of any kind?
Wow.
Because we both changed as people, but like I think I'm like, I would forgive like the it would be very painful, but like no, with that explanation, I think I would forgive. I can forgive that.
Mm. Fascinating.
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
Wow. Yeah, you do have a soft spot. You have a soft heart. You're a softie.
Am I softy?
Mm,
Yeah, I guess
you
I'm a
are.
softy. I know if
All right.
it's a good or bad thing. Who knows? I don't know.
No, it's a good thing. I think it's a good thing. All right. This was fun. Thank you, Tatenda.
Yeah, thank you. This is awesome.